Watch out now, 'cause here we come. And we ain't stopping until we see the morning.
And Barb will be here with the chicken parm and the veal pizzaiolo.
So, Anthony, how'd you guys do against Del Bon?
So give us when we do our things, we ain't come to hurt no one.
We lost both times.
It's a line coach.
Star Ledger says Del Bon's gonna be...
Hello?
Hey.
Has meat.
Get your point.
If recreational drugs were tools, alcohol would be a sledgehammer.
I mean, it is here. All of the statistics and information we have say, you know, that it is here and that kids are struggling across the board. And it's not because, you know, of anything we did or didn't do. It's because they're kids, you know, and this isn't a perfect world.
This is happening whether you like it or not in this community. You can't ignore the fact that there's a problem here. It's been documented, and rather than being frightened of that problem, I think it takes a community to really pull together and come up with solutions.
Drinking, one of America's favorite pastimes. There are some who believe that drinking alcoholic beverages is perfectly harmless, that it is purely a means of relieving stress or socializing with friends. However, there's always two sides of the story, where others believe it is a means of destroying one's life through addiction and carelessness. Though this debate has existed for hundreds of years in the United States, alcohol originally was not such a controversial substance. Alcohol was first introduced to the United States in the 1600s and was a preferred drink mainly due to its ability to survive the long journey overseas from Europe without going bad, a trait common in other beverages such as milk. During the mid-1800s, to decrease the amount of alcohol consumption, especially when considering Americans over the age of 15, the temperance movement was established, which aimed to emphasize drinking moderation initially, and then ultimately resistance from temptation, as they would have put it. As you could probably imagine, this new revolution didn't prove to be so revolutionary. Those Americans kept up with their drinking, and you can bet that a lot of them were under the age of today's drinking age. So what happened next? Well, subsequently, the government then created the Prohibition movement.
Prohibition in the United States was the government's attempt to outlaw the production, sale, and shipment of alcohol and intoxicating alcoholic beverages across the country. During the 19th century, various groups pushed for national prohibition. For instance, southern and rural populations believed a liquor ban would curtail the crime they associated with the growing number of immigrants living in American cities.
So was this movement successful? Again, no, not really. This led to a rise in bootlegging and the establishment of speakeasies, and ultimately led to the movement's repealment by Congress in 1933. After the end of Prohibition, most states set their legal drinking age at 21. However, this did not mark the end of the debate. The drinking laws began to change in the 1970s during the draft for the Vietnam War. Many states lowered the minimum legal drinking age along with reducing the minimum age to vote. The rationale was that the men who were being forced to serve in the military should be allowed to vote and drink alcohol. By the early 1980s, different states had differing restrictions, which allowed people who were underage in one state to drive to another to obtain alcohol. The U.S. Congress and President Ronald Reagan worked to fight this inconsistency, creating the National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984. This act decreed that all U.S. states shall establish a drinking age of 20 years old when it came to the purchase and possession of alcohol, or else risk losing millions in federal highway funds. By 1988, all states had a minimum legal drinking age of 21 years. So what makes the difference between 18 and 21? Are these numbers just arbitrarily picked by the government? Should the government even have a say in whether a person is allowed to drink or not? These are all questions debated to this day, and there are no clear answers. Since legal drinking age affects everyone, it truly is a public controversy. And even people who abstain from drinking might be affected by accidents caused by minors who drink and drive. Because the issue of the legal drinking age affects you, you should be informed about both sides of the argument. One aspect of this debate is the question of the alcohol's effect on the adolescent brain. There's enough evidence to suggest that the nervous system continues developing into the mid to late 20s, and alcohol consumption can interfere with that healthy development. During this time, the frontal lobe continues to take shape. This is the area of the brain that is responsible for such important functions as emotional regulation, planning, and organization. When alcohol consumption interferes with this early adult brain development, there is a greater chance of neuropsychological problems, including addiction, depression, high-risk behavior, and suicide. All of these findings make a compelling case for a legal drinking age of 21 or even higher. However, it has been proven that drinking in moderation has many health benefits as well. Some of these benefits include lowering the risk for cardiovascular disease, regulating the immune system better, and allowing carbohydrates to be processed more efficiently. Also, more recently, moderate alcohol consumption has been found to possibly help slow down the early symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia. A study by BMJ suggests patients with dementia and Alzheimer's disease who drink lightly are less likely to die at an early age of the illness. Surprisingly, those who drank 2 or 3 units of alcohol per day were linked to a 77% lower risk for death when compared to those who drink 1 or less. The reasons behind these results in particular are unclear and surprising many. These recent findings have many believing in the importance of educating young adults to drink healthy and in moderation before it is too late to teach them. One of the most famous supporting facts for the drinking age of 21 is the claim that the higher drinking age reduces the number of alcohol-related car accidents. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the increased legal drinking age of 21 saw a 16% median decline in motor vehicle crashes. More dramatically, studies have shown there has been a significant decline in the number of drunk driving fatalities following the drinking age increase. However, the opposing side points to other factors that might have caused this decline in motor vehicle accidents. For example, the decline started in 1982, 2 years prior to the National Minimum Drinking Age Act. This can be explained by an increasingly common use of seatbelts. Alcohol, however, is a public concern beyond just drunk driving. Excessive drinking contributes to more than 4,300 deaths among people below the age of 21 in the U.S. each year. Underage drinking in 2010 cost the U.S. economy $24 billion and about 189,000 emergency department visits. Also, people who start drinking young are more susceptible to alcohol-related problems in life. Alcohol use prematurely and irresponsibly can often lead to unplanned pregnancies, sexual assault, or a gateway into dangerous drug abuse. A study by the U.S. National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism has shown that frequent binge drinkers are more likely to engage in risky behaviors, including using other drugs such as marijuana and cocaine, having sex with 6 or more partners, and earning grades that are mostly D's and F's in school. And these binge drinkers make up more than 90% of the alcohol consumed by those under age 21. Therefore, many are against lowering the age and encouraging more adolescents to drink. In fact, students in states that had a minimum legal drinking age of 18 have a 13 times greater chance of dropping out of high school as compared to states with an MLDA of 21. A lot of what makes America different from other countries, however, might lie in the commonplaces that are associated with drinking in America. Another way of looking at this debate is by comparing the United States to other countries, which have a lower drinking age and also a different mentality when it comes to alcohol. The majority of the countries in the world have an MLDA of 18 or 19, and their teenagers seem to be doing just fine. This difference from the United States might be explained by the fact that Europeans start drinking earlier, learning from their families how to drink safely and responsibly. The Italian culture is especially well known for its moderation in alcohol. For them, a glass of wine is no means to get intoxicated, but simply a traditional part of their meals. This poses a stark contrast to the culture of drinking in the United States, where most teenagers start drinking illegally in secret, unsupervised places with their friends rather than family. There isn't an appropriate and safe alternative to the irresponsible and reckless behavior of binge drinking at parties. This argument makes a strong case for lowering the drinking age, thus allowing teenagers to learn how to drink in a safe environment with their families. It would also take away the thrill of indulging in something secret and illegal. But not everyone is so optimistic about becoming more like Europe and other cultures with a lower drinking age. There is evidence to suggest that binge drinking is also on the rise in Europe. According to a recent study, in many countries, frequent binge drinking among teens aged 15 to 16 years occurs at more than double the rate as in the United States. Traditionally, beer-oriented countries such as the UK, Ireland, Denmark, and Germany lead the statistics on youth drinking. This is not surprising when you consider this map of every pub in the UK. When considering the health-related risk of alcohol, it is essential to remember that 18 is the age of adulthood in the United States. At this age, people are able to smoke cigarettes, be prosecuted as adults, and join the army, all of which include risks to one's health. This raises some important questions. Who is responsible for protecting one's health? The individual himself or the government? And how should the right to make personal decisions be protected?